Hello hero, it's Lucy Lannon with some information about what you need to know right now. Four of Pentacles reversed, so there is like an unblocking of an energy that was a little bit stagnant, whether that be love or money. We've got a Queen of Pentacles reversed, so you may feel like you haven't been on top of things in a sort of functional way. You might have felt like the house is a mess, or things aren't organised, or you're not on top of your money, and that period is coming to an end. Then we have a Knight of Cups in reverse. Let me get more on that. The Sun. Okay, I think in this period of stagnation you haven't allowed yourself to imagine the best outcome, because you felt almost like so judgmental of yourself over little things that aren't quite tied up and fixed, that it's almost like you can't then think about the big things. You can't take that broader perspective, or you feel that you can't afford to be imaginative about that because you kind of need to earn it, or because you haven't finished the job that's in front of you. So it seems like too risky and big a thing to think really far into the future. But again, that's shifting now. I think you're going from resolving short-term things to thinking about long-term energies in some way. Three of Wands again is like advanced planning and sort of going forward with some of that stuff, sort of re-entering the world of the broader view, the bird's eye view, I guess, and sort of extending yourself in different directions in a positive way, having maybe been kind of curled up. It's giving me like, sorry for the imagery if you're arachnophobic, but it's giving me like a spider in a death curl, where you're sort of into yourself a bit and didn't want to like broaden out into the world, and it's almost like those things are unfurling and you're kind of blossoming again. So what brought about this like shift from one to the other? The catalyst was the Two of Swords in reverse, so an end to a kind of indecision. I think that was you, like you were maybe vacillating between options, and now you've made the choice because Seven of Cups reversed. There's been an illusion lifted about what it is that you can, I want to say, achieve or be, or there's been some kind of clarity around like what was just fake stuff around you and what was real in some way. And then we've got Nine of Pentacles reversed. I think there was maybe a fear with you that you would always have to just rely on yourself and you would never be supported. And yeah, it's a very difficult one to deal with, and it's something I hear from people a lot, that like, even if they are self-sustaining and very sort of high functioning, there is this inner kind of sense of lack, because it's like, well, just because I don't need support, it doesn't mean that I'm not like, that I wouldn't enjoy it, you know what I mean? Or that my life wouldn't be better with it in some sort of more concrete way. And an Ace of Cups is coming through to say that that will happen. You will be supported. For some of you, you will be loved, right? There's just something sort of shifting with all of that, where you're realizing actually that a lack of it in your past doesn't have to mean a lack of it in your future. Three of Swords is coming in. There may have been a great degree of heartbreak around all of this, or you may have had this belief of like, nobody's ever going to be reciprocal and supportive with me because of a heartbreak in your past, whether that's in a literal sort of romantic sense, or whether it's just like a sense of disappointment in things. We've got the Fool coming through because it's a new opportunity and we're stepping forward. And then we've got Temperance in reverse. I think maybe you've moderated what it is that you've said to people, and you've kind of, what do I want to say? It's like there's an energy of you editing yourself everywhere you go, or like making sure that if you're passionate about something, you're not too passionate, or if you're kind of evolved with something, you're not going too far with it. You don't let yourself get lost in anything anymore, I think. And that was part of what this stagnancy was. It was both a cause and an effect of this sense of like feeling unsupported and having to be really rational about where you put the next thing, and how much of this you give to this person, and how much you spend here, and what you do here. And it's almost like that over excess of like Saturnian control is why, on a functional level, maybe things weren't going right. It's like by doing all the right things all the time ever, it was sort of on such a tight leash that things weren't getting done, which seemed really counterintuitive and weird, right? But now I feel like it's almost there's a sense of spiritually loosening up a bit and sort of trusting in the idea of like, no, I will get what I want. I don't know how I know, but I do know that I know. and in doing that, you're becoming more relaxed about the way that you operate in the world and with other people, and you're kind of letting stuff slide a little bit more and being a bit more free and easy. And I think that in doing that, the energy is changing and going, we see that you can be disciplined, and we see that you can also be relaxed. And thus, there is a flow in and a flow out, and things are more at a balance. So you're going to start to see the effects of that in the kind of everyday way of just like having more opportunity to go after the things that long term you would desire, or having the emotional space to think about long term desires in a bigger way. King of Wands with the Magician in reverse. I think there was a caution with you of like, if you wish a lot, or you manifest, or you're a magical practitioner, there was almost like a thing of like, if I this is entirely subconscious, so bear with me, but there may have been a feeling of, if I manifest or I cast or whatever for this and I get it, then there is no limit to what I can get. And with great power comes great responsibility. Or there is a sense of like, but if I get this and it's weird because it's not a conscious belief, but there's I think you thought that if you had success in one particular area from a non-material perspective, like you were to manifest something, or you were to bring it in with subliminals, or you were to, ritualize for it and make it happen, then there would be a part of you in your own mind that like went off the rails with that and just went power mad and started getting this thing and this thing and this thing. And because of the people that you've been around in your distant past, I think that you equated that with hurting other people to get what you want, right? And again, I don't think this is a conscious process, but there was some kind of association or affiliation between, I successfully get this through magical means, whatever they are for you, equals, I then realise that I can get magic to get whatever I want, and therefore I just go ham with it and kind of screw the consequences for everyone else. And I don't think that's who you are. I don't think that's actually reflective of anything that's going on, or that would go on if you let yourself tap into that amount of power. But that's the thing, is that you don't let yourself tap into your own power because this fear is there. And I think you are a very powerful being. And I think it's sad, as a powerful being, if you don't use your full capabilities to enrich this world a little bit and to enhance life on this planet with your enthusiasm and compassion and incredible capability, right? You've been holding yourself back, not just in the way that you behave and the way that you do kind of little daily things, but in a much broader sense. I think you're a little bit scared of success. And that might surprise you, because you might be a very systematic person who's got like set goals, and you're very, do this and this and you reach them. And things are kind of coming apart, or they have been coming apart, to demonstrate to you like, that's who you think you are. But it's not really what's going on, is it? What's actually going on is a little tiny smidgeroo of self-sabotage, because if you did go after exactly what you want, you would be very effective at doing that, by the way. And that might mean then that you had to contend with who you are when you're powerful. Oh, wow, I'm dinger. But if that's your biggest problem, blipping brilliant problem to have, right? I'm trying not to swear. It's difficult with this reading. So, with phenomenal cosmic power, what would we actually do? We would liberate. We would prevent other people on a power trip from having too much power over individuals who systemically are less fortunate. So there is something to do here with acknowledging the need for your own liberation as part of your journey towards liberating other people, and thus, in a kind of reverse engineering sense, coming to the conclusion, and I'm really sorry to deliver this, that if you don't step into your power, you don't get to be for other people what they actually need from you, and you just kind of fester. You just kind of, you don't just end up like unfulfilled for yourself, but you're not doing your job in the world, because my feeling is that you're meant to be powerful. You're meant to be all right with being powerful. You're meant to be magically or manifesting or some other way conducting yourself in like a, not just a practical and a scientifically verifiable sense. You have gifts and you're not using them because other people around you have misused them, is what I want to say, or because maybe the media that you involve yourself with has a lot of portrayals of people misusing that kind of power. That's another one. But you're shifting out of stagnancy. That's how we started with this. And we started with it just being kind of love and money and basic stuff, and we're getting to a really spiritual place with it. So this is your calling to admit to yourself that you can go big with this. But if you don't, you're letting a lot of people down, or a lot of things down, or you're like not reaching your full potential. And that's like, I sound like your ma, like I'm not angry, I'm disappointed type shit, you know. And I'm not intending to do that. But what I do think is that there's just such a lovely energy that could come out of this if you were willing for a moment to just try on the powerful hat. You can always take it off again. And I want this for you. I think actually there is a great degree of responsibility in these cards. There is a steadiness to you. And just because you've encountered others who are unsteady in their application of their skills, it doesn't mean that you should hide yours under a bushel. That's your reading. Hope it was helpful.